Husky fans, welcome in episode number 4 of NIU Weekly. I am Andy Garcia. I hope you really enjoyed that Bill Baker tribute last week that came out on this YouTube page, NIU Athletics. If not, you still have time. Just click on it. It's right here on YouTube. A great 19 minutes of just fantastic features and different calls from Bill, different interviews. I heard from Coach Joe Novak, former players, myself, Mark Lindo, Rodney Davis. It was great. Some highlights I haven't even heard, some previous calls. So many great moments from Bill's time with football, men's basketball, women's basketball. He did a lot of sports here. Bill's wrapping up his 44th season here with the Huskies. So get on, and you'll see it on this YouTube page, the Bill Baker tribute. You definitely have to check that out. And you can definitely check it out right after this video. You can see it here on the NIU Athletics YouTube page. We're back at it. We're going to talk a little football with Thomas Hammock. Tough one as they lost to Tulsa last Saturday. Getting ready, Huskies for their first MAC game on the road at Toledo. Rockets already 1-0 in conference play. They won the championship last year. They're the favorites this year, but the Huskies go to Toledo on Saturday. We'll talk to Coach Hammock about that. We're also going to talk to one of Sean Frazier's newest executive team members here at NIU. It's going to be Chris Barker. He's going to join us on the show. He's going to give us his background, why he thought NIU is the perfect fit. So Chris Barker is going to join us this week as well. So, of course, we'll have our weekly feature, Look Back with Bill Baker. This week, we're going to talk about his memorable games that he's had, some of the memories that he has of his favorite games here at NIU. First things first, let's get started. Let's talk football. Huskies get ready for the MAC opener at Toledo. They're the MAC favorites, the Rockets. Huskies go into Toledo, try to get their first win as they start conference play. Andy Garcia alongside Thomas Hammock. And Thomas, before we get to Toledo, let's go back to Tulsa and just what you saw from the film after watching everything on Saturday.
Well, I think I think our defense really stood up, created some turnovers. Got the ball back for us 3 times, and then conversely, our offense, we gave the ball up 3 times. So, in order to win, we got to stop from losing and doing the things that causes us to lose. In 2 of our losses, we've had 7 turnovers and 3 missed field goals, and we lost by 3 and we lost by 8. So, we have to be better offensively. We have to be better in the special teams. Too many penalties killing us with field position and things like that. So, we got a lot of work to do this week. Guys been working their butt off all week. We understand what's in front of us, and we got to get ready to play our best game as a complete team, not just one side of the ball.
Well, let's talk about that defense a little bit more, Thomas, because, again, they only gave up 22 points, 3 turnovers, 3 sacks. Again, they just continue to play at a really high level.
No, I think they playing together. They got 11 guys working together as a unit. Their mantra is one motion, which they've shown time and time again. And I think, we've had, last week we had 3 sacks, but a lot of those sacks were due to great coverage on the back end. So when you have all 3 levels of your defense playing together, you have a chance to be successful defensively. And I like the way those guys are moving.
Again, we talk about it with Ray Thomas and what he's done in the defensive line. He doesn't say a lot of words, but, man, his play says a lot. 7 solo tackles, 11 total tackles. I mean, he just continues to get in the backfield.
No, he's playing at a high level. He's making plays on the front side of the play. He's making plays on the back side of the play. He's making effort plays. And this is a guy that has continued to get better with time and age. He walked in our program at 195 pounds. He's developing himself into a 265-pound beast. And a lot of credit goes to Ray Thomas, but also a lot of credit goes to Coach Moore. The thing that's so interesting is early in Ray's tenure, there were coaches that didn't think, he can play. And all he's done was come in and work and develop himself into, he's an all-MAC player at this stage of the season, as long as he continues to stay healthy.
In the back end, Nate Belcarcel got an interception on Saturday. Again, a guy who's playing well. Seems to be one of the leaders on the defensive side.
Yeah, no, we know in the spring Nate had a great spring, really stepped up his play, and now he's the leader on the back half of our defense. I mean, I know for years, people didn't think we can cover people, but it's really the same 4 guys out there that's working as one in communication with alignments, assignments, and doing their job and executing the fundamentals and technique of their position. And Nate has been a major catalyst for the back half of our defense.
I like what you also done, Thomas, at times with Nate Valcarcel, even Jordan Hanson, able to come up to the line, blitz, get inside. When you're athletic, you got that type of ability. You can put pressure in an offense when you can bring more guys up to the line and make the tackles too. And that's what we've seen.
No, I thought Jordan Hanson made a tremendous play on the 2nd and 6 last week. He blitzed off the edge and knocked him for a 3-yard loss. Now you get him on 3rd down. So, those guys, Coach Benedetto is doing a nice job mixing in coverages, mixing in different looks and disguises where it causes the offense to hesitate just enough where guys can go finish and make plays.
On the offensive side, how are you evaluating the quarterbacks this week, Tom?
No, I think they've had a couple of really good days of practice. Need to continue to watch how they progress throughout the week and into warm-ups and figure out which guy gives us the best chance to win. But they have to execute the offense. We have 7 turnovers on offense, and 6 of them are at the quarterback position. So we have to, at that position, the ball is the program, and it has to start there with everything that we do.
Justin Lynch getting blocked by Lampy in front of him, and then Lampy in front of him, Lippy. And it really was a nice little combination of 3 Ls. We saw that with Justin Lynch able to get some runs, 84 yards completely on Saturday for him, the 29-yard touchdown run. But let's talk just about Lynch and what he brought to the offense on Saturday.
No, he provided a spark. I mean, up until that point, we wasn't really moving the ball well on the ground, and he came in and had some explosive plays, had some great energy, had some great effort, but also it provided a spark for the other 10 guys on the field. And so, when you come in and you can make a contribution like that, it uplifts your unit. And then obviously we were able to put points on the board with one of the plays that he ran.
Good to see Trayvon Rudolph get a touchdown. And again, just get his hands on the ball. Great play call, Thomas, and to get him in the end zone. Hopefully that's some confidence, and hopefully Trayvon Rudolph can get going again a little bit more, see him more productive in the offensive side.
Yeah, no, we got to continue to get him involved. Obviously, we started him getting more involved on our kickoff return unit last week. Obviously, we have to protect the ball, but it was good to see him, getting in space, having an opportunity to make people miss, push the ball out to the 35-yard line, which is big for our offense. So we got to continue to find ways to get him the ball, and that's what we've been working on offensively.
Talk about Toledo. They come in 3-1. They already have a MAC win as they defeated Western Michigan last week, 49-31. They were down by 10 at the half. They outscored Western Michigan 35-7 in the second half. Thomas, what have you seen from the Rockets on tape?
Yeah, a complete football team, can hurt you in all 3 phases. I think offensively, obviously it starts as a quarterback position. Not sure which guy we're going to see because I think number 7 went out last week. But, the backup guy is a guy we know. He's a really good player as well. Got tremendous running backs. Their offensive line is older veteran group that work together in tandem. And they got receivers that can make plays. And then defensively, they're very active. They lead the conference in sacks, so we can't hold on to the ball at the quarterback position. And then their coverage on the back end is really, really strong. So a tremendous challenge for us this week. We understand that these guys are the reigning MAC champs, and if you want to have an opportunity to be a champion, we have to figure out a way to win this game.
You mentioned their quarterbacks, Thomas, number 7, Daquan Finn, who a mobile quarterback, right? Wants to throw, but can also run, went out. And then you have the sophomore Tucker Gleason, number 4. He had 2 passing touchdowns under his realm. In the second half, they scored 5 touchdowns. Are they different quarterbacks, Thomas?
Yeah, different in the sense that, obviously 7 is a lot more athletic, but very similar in the sense that they're going to run the same style of offense with both guys. And we have to respect Gleason as a runner as well. He will zone read. They'll run quarterback draw. He's a big guy, 6'3", 240, with the ability to make precision passes. So no matter what quarterback plays, we know it's going to be a tremendous challenge, and we have to be ready for the challenge.
You mentioned their running back, Penny Boone, 211 rushing yards last week, 2 touchdowns, 132 yards in the fourth quarter last week, Thomas. So Penny Boone, one of those guys, is he a north-south runner? He's got a little agility to him?
He's the north-south runner, and once he gets started, he's hard to slow down. He's a 245-pound back. A kid we're very familiar with. Looked at him in high school. He went to Maryland, obviously transferred to Toledo, but good player that gets stronger as the game goes along. And we have to make sure we gang tackle this week, which is going to be extremely important because that's a tough ask for one guy to bring Penny Boone down.
You mentioned their defense and they get sacks, Thomas. That to me, it's the offense for us that, again, got to control the ground game, right, Thomas? I know you want to get that ground game going, but you can't turn the ball over.
No, I mean, we have to be balanced. We have to protect the ball on offense. The ball is a program, and I think in our losses, I think that's been an issue, and that can't keep showing up week in and week out. So we have to do a great job, with the ball. Then we got to continue to find ways to get the run game going. I thought last week was a step in the right direction. Now we got to continue to add to it and see if we can elevate our run game so we can be balanced and have the ability to run and pass.
It's NIU and Toledo this Saturday out in the Rocket Country. Thomas, good luck, and I'll see you on Saturday.
Thank you, and go Huskies.
Well, from Thomas Hammock, from football to the newest member of the executive team for NIU Athletics, Chris Barker, Senior Associate Athletic Director for Development and Revenue Generation. And Chris, it's great to get you on. What is this, week number 3 for you now? How are you doing so far?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Andy. This is with the start of week 3, and I've seen a lot so far, which it excites me every day. There's no doubt.
Awesome. Good stuff, Chris. Tell me a little bit about your background. How'd you get to NIU? Tell me some of the other stops and the good stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm originally from Racine, Wisconsin. Grew up there, played baseball, basketball, football. I was fortunate enough actually to earn a scholarship to the University of North Carolina, Greensboro. Did my major in communication studies. Had a good career there. And then I went on to coach at the Delaware State University. I did my master's there as well, coached for about 3 years and some change. Sport administration was my master's. And I always knew, after coaching that I wanted to impact more than just 35 student athletes. So I knew I needed to be an administrator, and that path for me, I was the general manager of Hitters Baseball in Racine, Wisconsin. Transitioned them from an 18,000 square foot facility to a 44,000 square foot facility. And I oversaw human resources, all their corporate sales, and I oversaw a couple teams. So it was a great experience, but I missed higher education. I missed being with 18 to 22-year-olds, now like 25-year-olds with COVID and whatnot. But I was able to have the opportunity at Carthage College to be their number 2, which is a Division III college. Great experience. And then I worked for a Hall of Fame AD there, which was great. He was the only president of NAD, which is our athletic administrator fundraising organization. He's the only Division III per president. So I learned a lot in that time, just with annual funds, but just overall how philanthropic giving really supports student athletes in an athletic department as a whole in that experience. So after that, I was fortunate to have an opportunity at Wisconsin Parkside. I was the deputy athletics director there for 3 years. During that time, I was part of the NCAA Pathway program where they select 30 administrators every year to be aspiring ADs. During that time, Sean Frazier was one of my mentors. Got to know him, got to know Northern Illinois, and I had known it obviously being from the Midwest, the strong tradition of excellence, but also the strong alumni base. So I've always had that knowing or that affinity with Northern Illinois and appreciated it. But during my time at Parkside, I was able to get the opportunity at Southern Connecticut State University, where I was the director of athletics and recreation there most recently. I loved every bit of it. It was a regional public institution. We won a lot like NIU, just Division II. So when this opportunity came about, with Sean, it was a no-brainer for me. 1, to be able to compete at the highest level at NIU. 2, with the type of institution that it is, and who we support as our students and how we are involved in the community. I've always had an affinity for that and a love for that and a passion. So, and then the third part, which is just icing on the cake, my wife and my 2 sons, it was a no-brainer to be this close to family, obviously. So when you think about that, it's hard to say no to opportunities like this and be in a community from a professional standpoint that wants to be the best they possibly can, but also serve, a diverse population and actually believes in that. And then, like I said, the family side of it, you'll see my family. We're pregnant with our 3rd as well. So you'll see all my family soon enough.
That's awesome. Good stuff. Again, so let's talk about the role, development, revenue generation, fundraising, really, Chris. And then also a sport administrator. I know you're the sport administrator for women's basketball, correct?
Yeah. So I have women's basketball as sport oversight, and I also have women's cross country and women's track and field. So, those are sports that I always enjoy, watching and being a part of. So for me, that's, it's one of the most important parts of what we do as administrators, right? Your support system for students, support for coaches, and being a former student athlete and coach. I know what it's like. So I've always enjoyed that part of the job. And I really look forward to all three of those sports having a great year, quite honestly. And then on the other side of it, the development, to me, that doesn't seem like work. That's the fun part, right? You get to talk to people who truly believe in NIU. And for me, I can't thank those alumni and donors really and supporters enough, because they're the reason that I have the other part of my job, right? But to see what they can do and what our community can now do as a we, right? And build on the foundations that TJ has set, for me, it's really exciting to be a part of NIU athletics, I think, because we really have the opportunity to continue to grow to the next level and create sustainability.
Awesome. Yeah, the next big event in the fundraising events, really, Chris, is a Huskies Invest, the Week of Giving. When is that this year, Chris? What is it used for, and how can people get involved?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's October 23rd through the 27th. Today is actually the day that the general mailer is going out. It's a save the date. So people will start seeing that in their emails. We also have new software. We can send out text messages and they'll start getting phone calls. But, this really it's our biggest week of giving. It's a philanthropic week. We're looking forward to obviously surpassing our goals from the last few years. But for us, it's unrestricted. Obviously, any funds raised from that side of it goes to the entire department, which is always a huge asset. But also, sports specific. It's one of the things we talked about in our head coaches meeting today. We'll be working with each program to make sure that we're obviously articulating the needs, but where obviously our supporters can get involved. So we look forward to it. Obviously, we'll have obviously a message go out on the website, and we'll have our links set up so that people can go onto the platform. But, we really look forward to getting those communications out and seeing people at homecoming and really talking about it as well there.
And Chris, we talk about all the time about how important it is for fans, boosters, to get back and be involved in this big event. And this is one of the bigger ones, the Week of Giving, the Huskies Invest, and the money goes directly to student athletes, which is the biggest part of it.
Correct. Every dollar raised goes right back to the programs, which directly impacts our student athletes. And, again, as an alum of an institution, whenever I hear that, for me, it's a no-brainer, right? Because I know that can create a competitive athletic, academic, and social experience. And for our students, again, we have top performing student athletes, but they do it in all assets, right? We graduate at a higher rate than the rest of the institution. We then go on to get jobs. And our community, which is great, what I'm finding out is a lot of our students stay in this Illinois, right, the greater Chicago and Midwest area. Which is huge from an economic impact. But again, this week, it helps support that. So our students aren't always just focusing on, right, the athletics piece of it, but how do they become well-rounded, great competitive individuals? And this week really supports that.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's coming up. Huskies Invest, Week of Giving, that is coming up in October. Chris, tell me, going from a coach to doing what you do now, what's the best part of your job and your role now and what you've been able to do?
Yeah. I'll say that the best part is when you see people make those 1% gains. I say that's still been my motto, whether it be as a student or a coach. When you see someone get better, it's the best part. But also, I think as an administrator now, because when you're a coach, you're in it. You're in the thick of it every day with them, right? As an administrator, I get to see a little bit of a different perspective on it. And I really do believe that I get to help the students and the coaches kind of get that pickup, right? Because failure is the best thing in life. No one really likes to talk about it. But when we fail, we learn to succeed. So being a part of that process as an administrator, I think for me is priceless, because you get to see that growth and that development of people every day, right? And when it's bad, right, that's usually when people only talk to administrators. But I'm a little bit different because I have that perspective as a coach and a student. And I told our students last week was a big week because I got to meet my teams, right? And I tell them, you'll see me around. It's not that I'm going to micromanage, it's that I want to get to know you all, right? And we want to help how we can be there, not just when it's bad, but also how we can maximize you and maximize the good.
Yeah, I've been able to be around you these first 3 weeks, and I can tell you the energy you have and the enthusiasm. It just kind of got a halo over you. It's great, Chris. What's your expectations? What excites you the most about what can happen here at NIU and your role?
Yeah, I think for me, it's probably the growth in the annual fund. You talk about Huskies Invest, just because, again, I know where that support goes to. But also, I think, the engagement piece of it, right? Philanthropy is defined in so many different ways. Just being able to engage with our community, because it can't always just be like, hey, how are you doing? Can you give us some money? That's not how this works, right? I can confidently say that as a former coach, and again, in my time as administrator, I have a lot of friends that I've gained, right? So, and I know, again, you talk about the Midwest and just the people that we have here. For me, it's the relationships. You talk about this community, and it already has been a welcoming community. I didn't even get a chance to fly here to find a house, but Mike Pitsley was able to hook up with my brother-in-law, and they went and found a house for us, right?
That's
you know,
awesome.
that's blind faith, right? But when you have an organization, you know, a leader like Sean Frazier and people around you, Courtney Vincent's been a good friend of mine for years. It makes life a lot easier. But for me, again, it's all about the relationship. So I really look forward to getting to know this community and being in the community, not just of it. So that's probably what excites me about. And then winning, right? I came to NIU because I love winning, quite honestly. You know, and I'm one of the most competitive people that you'll meet. You know, I just do it with a smile. That's what I tell people all the time. So I think the opportunity to be a part of, you know, a Division I program that wins and really has that expectation to win, how do we help support that? And then how do we get those shortfalls or close that gap so that all of our programs can be competitive at the MAC and the regional and national level?
Chris, congratulations. Part of the new executive team here at NIU Athletics. Looking forward to it. We're going to have some fun, and I'll see you on campus, and let's get some wins like you talked about, Chris.
Let's go. Go Huskies. Appreciate it, Andy.
Great to talk to Chris Barker here on NIU Weekly. You're going to see him around campus. Going to do some great things for NIU Athletics. Now time for our weekly segment, Looking Back with Bill Baker. This week, again, Bill reviews his most memorable games. Take a listen. We continue our series with the voice of the Huskies, Bill Baker, looking back some memories of the voice of Huskies retiring after 44 years behind the mic. And Bill, you know, you've seen how many games? I mean, I think NIU tried to count how many football games and basketball games you've had. You've had to see some really good games throughout the career, both in football and basketball. But let's start with football because, I mean, you've told me even that first football game was very memorable.
Well, you know, I told you about how I prepared all summer long, you know, for this particular job. But nothing I did could have possibly prepared me for the way it turned out. Pre-game was fine. We were in Anaheim Stadium against Long Beach State, the 49ers. That was back when that stadium was configured for the LA Rams. They were playing down there. So there were 70,000 seats in that place. 60,000 of them were empty. But nevertheless, it was college football. We were way up in the press box down what would have been the third base line. And the opening, the pregame went perfectly as scripted. The opening kickoff settles into the arms of a senior by the name of Mike Pinckney. And Mike was at about the 3-yard line towards the near sideline, two hands on the football. And I remember him crossing the 5 and the 10. And I think that's what I was calling. And all of a sudden, he just kind of jets off to the right towards those hash marks and then cuts back. And he was gone. I mean, by the time he reached the 40-yard line, you could see that nobody was going to catch him. Nobody was going to, and nobody did. And he is in for the touchdown by very first Division I call, 97 yards on a kickoff return. Like I said, nothing I could have done could have possibly prepared me for that. And Pat Carey, I looked over at him, and he was just sitting there with his mouth hanging open, as if to say, what just happened? And away it went. That was Bill Mallory's first game as head coach at NIU. He came over from Colorado. Huskies, I want to say, finished 7-4 that season. That was a nice catalyst to the year. And, you know, it only got better from that. I sat there, I wondered, how could this possibly get any better? Was this the highlight of my career right here? And I had no idea that career was going to be 40-something years. Down the road, of course, it did. NIU football, they won in 1983. They won the Cal Bowl, and that's one of my big memories, going out to where we played it in Fresno, and it was against Fullerton, Cal Fullerton. They don't play football any longer. Put them out of business, I guess we did. But to get there, we had to beat unbeaten Toledo, and we had to do that at home on the second to the last day of the conference season, and we did. It might have been 23-10. I honestly don't recall. Then we still had to beat Ohio, and the Bobcats were kind of a subpar team. They came in, and their whole theme was the refund bowl, because all of these Huskies had California reservations, and if they beat us, we weren't going. Well, Northern handled them easily, and we saw the goalposts, go down and head for the lagoon. We went to Fresno, won the game. It was like 20 below zero back in Chicago. When we played the game, it was 55 and cloudy in Fresno, and our guys are in shirt sleeves. The Fullerton guys are in parkas with gloves. They didn't want to be there, I don't think. But, that was 1983, first of the MAC championships that I saw. You jump ahead, 2011, and Matthew Sims kicks a 33-yard field goal as time expires in Detroit. NIU down 20-0 at the half against Ohio University, wins the MAC title 23-20. I mean, Does it get any better than that? A year later, 2012, Demetria Stone, double overtime. Kent State is driving, looking to tie the game, and he makes a pick of the quarterback in the end zone to seal the deal. Your second consecutive Mid-American Conference championship and a trip to the Orange Bowl. And you get down, that's a whole other segment. What could have happened at the Orange Bowl? But and then you've got, and then we've got a flair for this when we win these title games. I mean, it's we don't make it easy. That's where the hard way comes from. And you jump ahead to 2018. Marcus Childers, remember him with 1:09 to go against Buffalo, and he throws a 35-yard touchdown pass. DJ Brown caught it. Yeah, DJ Brown caught it. NIU had been down by 19 at the half, and they win the game by 1 and win the MAC championship over Buffalo. Those are just, and there are plenty of other games. Plenty of other games. There's, winning at Wisconsin. There's the win with Ward, the interception with maybe 2 minutes left to go at Iowa, and just in the position for the field goal with about, 10, 12 seconds left. And the Huskies win that one. So many of these different games. There's going to places like the Navy, going up to Army, doing a game at West Point, looking out over the Hudson River Valley. We don't have enough time to talk about all of these, different memories.
But one thing, to be able to call a championship game or a bowl game, Bill, I'd be able to work with you. Get that more. That's just an excitement that you're going to be the voice of history, Bill, that calls MAC champions. MAC champions. A lot of people are going to remember that. But what would it mean? What did it mean for you to be part of that? To be history forever with your voice being behind those championships.
You know what? It never said. I never thought of it. It's just, honestly, I think it's just now starting to set in.
Yeah,
it really is. I think it's just now starting to set in. Everything I've been fortunate enough to see, fortunate enough to do, fortunate enough to say about these guys, because I don't do anything. I don't do a single thing. I'm telling you what other people are doing. So it's easy on me in that respect. I don't have to catch this pass 2 yards deep in the end zone. I don't have to stop this 230-pound fullback coming through the line of scrimmage. That's not me. So, yeah, it's just now, Andy, it's really beginning to set up, I think, a little bit right now. As we get further into this thing, I'll think back more about it. But there are plenty of memories to think about. Like I say, there's so many that I've probably forgotten at this point that I'll look back and go, oh, yeah, I should have included that one. And we'll still be talking.
We'll have more memories, more look backs as we enjoy and reminisce with the voice of the Huskies, Bill Baker. That is a fun look back with Bill Baker. Remember some of the memorable games here at NIU. As they take a look at the upcoming schedule for NIU athletics, volleyball hosts Miami on Friday, September 29th. That's at 6 p.m. Women's tennis cross country is on the road on Friday. Then on Saturday, volleyball, they host Miami again, 3 p.m. That's on Saturday. So you got volleyball on Friday night, 6 p.m. On Saturday, 3 p.m. Everything else really on the road. Women's tennis on the road. Again, mentioned football at Toledo coming up on Saturday. On Sunday, men's golf is at the Badger Invitational up in Madison, Wisconsin. Women's tennis is a split squad. Some are in Bloomington, Indiana, and some are in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And women's soccer is at Akron on Sunday, 12 p.m. On Monday, men's golf continues to be in Madison for their invitational. Men's soccer is at Marquette. And then on Tuesday, men's golf continues in Madison. So a lot of the teams on the road this week, including football, as we mentioned, NIU and Toledo coming up this Saturday in Toledo. Hopefully the Huskies can get back on track, get a win. Coach Hammock's talked about it, really a championship game could be on Saturday. Hopefully Huskies play well on the road, taking on the Rockets. Also want to mention next week is October, which means Husky basketball is just around the corner. It's going to be here before you know it. Time to get those season tickets. We see some preseason polls and predictions coming out. And NIU men's basketball is getting some accolades. Looking forward to it. I know women's basketball is looking forward to getting their schedule going too. It's not too far away. Practices are underway. Get your season tickets now. Get reserved seats to see every Husky men's basketball game for as little as $80. Discounts on great tickets are available for NIU faculty and staff, alumni, and senior citizens. Season ticket prices to see every game of the NIU women's basketball season range from $35 to $50. Go online, NIUHuskies.com, My Huskies, to purchase your season tickets for NIU men's and women's basketball. We'll be talking Husky basketball next week on the show. So stay tuned. Hopefully we're talking about a Husky football win at Toledo. So stay tuned for that next week. Don't forget, subscribe, like this YouTube page, some great highlights, some great features, as we mentioned with Bill Baker. It's all right here. Like it, subscribe it, watch it right here on the NIU Athletics YouTube page. Thank you to Thomas Hammock and Chris Barker for joining me this week. We'll talk to you next week. Until then, go Huskies.